Hi guys, so I'm back into playing D&D and I couldn't be happier. So as you can see, I've got all the books, I've got these lovely dice from Easy Roller Dice, link in the description where you can get these guys. They do some amazing dice and I've been fortunate enough they've sent me quite a few sets, which is pretty awesome. So I've got my character sheet and I've got my figures. So my first character I'm playing is a hill dwarf and he's a druid of the circle wildfire, hence the reason why he's holding a little flame. And I've given him a nice shield as well. So yeah, pleased with how he looks and how I painted him. And obviously he's got a baby owl bear as his wildfire spirit that he can summon. And this will help him out in some of the battles. And then for my main wild shape figure, I'm going for the axe beak. So if ever I get low on hit points, I can turn into this fella, as he's got a nice amount of hit points. And obviously he can run fast, which is pretty cool. So yeah, they're the figures I've got. So now we're going to get through and show how I printed them out and painted them. So there's two main places I go to get all my figures and bits and pieces to 3D print, and one of them is my mini factory, as there are an abundance of great model makers here. You can get some free STLs and you can get some you have to pay for. So in this case I'm actually paying for this chap as I really like the look of him, but as obviously you'll see later on, I take the staff away and I put a shield there instead. But the rest of the figure I really like the look of him. It comes with two, actually you get the figure and you get his wild shape, which in this case is a boar, but I haven't picked that one just yet. And then the shield I got from Thingiverse. This is a place obviously it's pretty good and everything here is free. So yeah, I always normally look there first and then I go to my mini factory. So yeah, with the shield as well, I wanted to change it a little bit and add on a tankard of ale. So the tankard of ale was just an image that I got, changed the JPEG to an STL using some sort of free software to do that. And then yeah, just sort of merge the two together. So I'm using a package called Tinkercad. Very simple, very easy to use, very basic, but for someone like me it's a great place to start out. Then it's just a case of opening up all the figures and things I want to print out into the software for any cubic photon mono that I use. I will leave links in the description to everything I'm using here guys, but say this Anycubic Photon Mono is an awesome printer. Can't say I've had any problems with it at all. And it's got a lovely large base plate, bigger than any other one that I've seen, which means you can print off loads and loads of figures. Obviously in this case I'm only printing off a few things, but I have printed off, I think I printed off 18 figures in one hit on this once, which was pretty awesome. So yeah, just a case of obviously filling it up with the resin, putting the cover back on, and then sticking in the USB, pressing the print button, and then go make yourself a cup of tea and let the thing do its job. So I've had this printer just over 3 months and I must admit I'm getting quite a nice collection of miniatures. And here's my little dwarf druid all finished. So I've taken the supports off. They generally come off pretty cool. Sometimes they leave a little bit of support left, but that's fine. Easy just to scrape them bits off. And yeah, I'm really pleased with how these have come out. So as I say, obviously I didn't want him with a staff. I do like the idea of a druid with a staff, but in this case I want the shield just for the extra armor class. Otherwise they can be a bit squishy, because I started my character off as level 1 in the campaign that I'm doing. As anyone who's played D&D will all know, level 1 characters are extremely squishy, so getting that extra 1 point of armor class can make the difference between life and death. So yeah, basically a case of just sort of cutting off the staff that he was holding. Obviously the plastic's still relatively soft, so it is easy to sort of scrape and cut with a blade and with my little snips. So yeah, just a case of carefully doing that, and then obviously taking his arm off because I want his arm to be bent so it can obviously accommodate the shield. And then it's a case of gluing his arm back on, but there was obviously a little bit of a gap between he had no elbow basically. So I'm using this sort of milliput stuff to obviously replace the elbow that's kind of cut off. As usual I always make up too much of this stuff because I always think I'm getting a little bit, but even the little bit I've got is still more than I need, but that's fine. The stuff's not that expensive, the one that I buy, it's quite cheap. So yeah, mix the two compounds together, roll them up, and then basically sort of put them where you need them. As you can see, I use a very small amount compared to the amount that I actually made up, even though the amount I made up was relatively small. So yeah, great stuff, nice and easy to use this. As I say, I have used the green stuff before, which is pretty cool, but the green stuff, you do need to keep everything wet that's going to be touching it, otherwise it just sticks to everything. Whereas this milliput doesn't seem to sort of be as sticky, which is pretty cool, and just generally makes it a bit easier to work with. So yeah, I mean you're not really going to be able to see much of his elbow behind obviously the shield, but as I knew there's going to be a bit of a gap there, I just wanted to fill it in. And there we go. So they're all primed now. My main character, my wild shape character, and my cute little wildfire spirit. So yeah, on to painting. And as you can see, I'm using these lovely D&D paints from Army Painter. They do such a large collection of colours, which is just amazing. So yeah, it's a great choice of colours to use from. Plus obviously you can mix them up to make any colours that they don't actually have. Although to be honest, I've always found they seem to have more than enough options of colours for what I need. So usual thing with the painting, obviously getting all the base sort of colours, and then later on we'll go and do the washes, which I think really does make these figures pop. But yeah, so for the moment, just all the base colours on there. And because I'm painting all three at once, it means I can use whatever paint I use for one. If I'm using that same colour on the other, then I'll yeah, use it on the others. So obviously with this axe beak bird, I have just looked online and they come in a variety of colours. So obviously I'm sticking with brown because obviously my character's main colour is his cape, which is brown. So yeah, so my little axe bird, or axe beak even, is going to be brown as well. So I'm trying out some new brushes this week, and these are from the Army Painter, and they're in their Games Master set and the D&D sets. So when you buy the paints, some of them do come with brushes, which is pretty cool. So yeah, giving their brushes a try this week just to sort of see how well they perform. Yeah, again, I really am enjoying, I know I sort of say it's quite a lot now, but I really am enjoying the painting. So anyone who has been with me a while will know my earlier videos, I used to hate painting, whereas now I love it. And I think it's because I'm painting figures that I'm going to be using, which I think makes a big difference, as opposed to all the my older videos, where a lot of them I was painting things which I never actually used in the end. And I think there's something more satisfying about painting something you are going to use, which obviously makes sense really, I guess. So yeah, so this little firebird sort of thingy, I was going to use contrast paints on him, just because obviously say he's going to be on fire. I don't have the speed paints as yet from Army Painter, but I will be getting them soon and I'll be trying them out, which I can't wait to do, and I will certainly show you how the speed paints from Army Painter sort of look in relation to the contrast paints that I currently use from Citadel. And there we go, that's them all base painted and looking, say, half decent. They look alright, obviously nothing special, but this is where, say, I think the magic happens using the washes. Again, I'm probably still using these washes incorrectly, but I always think it's a bit of a waste to you put the wash into a palette and then use it, and then obviously if you've got any left over, it'll just get wasted. So yeah, I prefer just dipping my brush straight into the into the wash. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, but I like doing it, and again, I don't waste anything there, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, again, with the washes from Army Painter, I think I must have at least about 15 or 16 different types, which is pretty cool. But I use the soft wash one for the figures, just so it's not too harsh. And then it's just a case of putting the figures off the white tack. The white tack is pretty sticky, so it does sort of take a little bit of fiddling to get it all off. And so yeah, even though I thought I'd got it all off, there was still a sort of very fine little bit left. And obviously I'm doing this just so I can paint the underneath of these figures, obviously their feet or claws or whatever it is, just because I want to stick these figures onto some clear perspex bases rather than the metal ones. Just because what I want to do now is whenever I use these in sort of any of the terrain that I build, you can see what the terrain is underneath, as opposed to all of the figures that I've got so far. I've got like a grassy sort of base on them. They are going to look then silly when I'm using them inside a dungeon. So that's why I'm now using these clear sort of discs, which are pretty cool. So yeah, just a simple case of gluing them on and trying to obviously make sure they kind of like centrally positioned and look pretty good where they are. And there you go. So I'm loving these figures. I'm loving the paint job on them. If I say so myself, I don't think I did too bad. And yeah, these are pretty cool figures which I'll be using in a campaign that I'm playing in every Thursday, which is pretty awesome. So also I am building sets and bits and pieces for a campaign that I want to DM. So that's the thing I love about D&D. I love being a player and I love being a DM. So they're both sort of very different sort of obviously ways of playing the game, but absolutely awesome. So yeah, this is what I mean obviously by using these the glass bases or plastic bases. When I do use them in sort of the terrain that I've built, you can sort of see the terrain underneath, and it doesn't look silly because they're not on like grassy bases. So yeah, all my figures now will be the clear bases, which I think looks pretty cool. So yeah, really enjoyed it. I say, love how these come out, and yeah, I can't wait to use these ones in my my game next Thursday, which is pretty awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I just want to say a quick shout out and thank you to all my patrons, as well as the sponsors, for helping making it possible for me to sort of keep making these videos, and obviously buying the materials I need to build stuff. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Leave comments down below, hit the like button, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, take care. Bye for now.